Very good morning, students. Once again, just in the previous video class, we had studied regarding quantity index numbers. Now we shall have some key points. Index numbers expressed always in terms of percentages. For our convenience and for comparison purpose, always index numbers are expressed in terms of percentages. The previous index numbers, like many or various index numbers which we had written, you can observe multiplied by 100 we had written at the end. As they are needed to be expressed in terms of percentages, you had written all the while, like everywhere multiplied by 100. So index numbers must be expressed always in terms of percentages. Next, index number for the base period is always 100. Always for the base period, index number is considered as 100. For example, if we are coming across an index number in current year, say for example, better you consider the examples of either Laspier's, Pastchase, Dorbish Bowley's, Marshall Edgeworth, Fisher's, Kelly's, whatsoever the index number, whether it is price or quantity, whatever may be the index number. Let me take an example like price index number of Laspier's. I am getting it as 150. Then in current year, it is 50% increased because earlier it was already 100. So base level, we will be fixing it to 100%. So whatever more than 100 it goes, it is increased with that much number of percentage. How much ever that it is decreasing to 100 or below 100 that we are getting, that much of percentage is decreased in current year as compared to base year. That way the interpretation of index number goes on. That's why index number for the base period is always 100. As the baseline, we have kept index number of a base period is to be 100. As I have told you already, if it is 150, 50% increase. If it is 200, 100% increase. If it is 50, then 50% decreased. If it is 70, then 30% decreased. If it is, for example, like 60, then 40% decreased. In that way we will be expressing either in terms of price, quantity or value. So remember always, index number for the base period is always 100. This is very frequently asked question for 1 mark in previous board exam question papers. What is the index number in base period will be the question asked. At that time, you may have to write it to be always 100. Fine. Next, this is known fact to you, but repeatedly I am telling just because you shouldn't forget at any instant of time. Generally, index numbers refer to price index number. If it is quantity, it will be specified as quantity index number. Known fact. Now, after having got the platform of index numbers, let us observe uses or significance of index numbers. First one, index numbers are useful to governments in formulating policies regarding economic activities such as taxation, imports, exports, licenses to new firms, a bank rate, etc. Like the index numbers are very much helpful for governments in terms of formulating all these. This we had already come across in our discussion when we were answering why index numbers will be called as economic barometers. That's what has been given once again here as the use. Next, index numbers help in measuring purchasing power of a money and also used for deflation. What do you mean by purchasing power of a money? Per rupee, I mean per 1 rupee, what you can purchase, that is what is purchasing power of money. Usually our elders will tell, I mean grandparents, they would tell in this way, in our days, that means their young days, they used to take somewhere around 10 rupees to market and worth of usage for a week or 15 days. Vegetables they used to bring within only that 10 rupees. But nowadays whether it is possible? No, even if we take 100 rupee also we will come in short with. That means purchasing power of money has gone less. Usually we tell in other words that the value has lost its power, or the money has lost its power, the money has lost its significance. Money is not having much more importance these days. These are our usual statements what we give. That is nothing but purchasing power of the money has gone down. Per 1 rupee earlier, before 10 years, 20 years, what used to be purchased, nowadays, it is not at all possible. We have already seen 25 paise, 50 paise, all those are not at all in use. It's losing its significance. So that is what is purchasing power of money. That it indicates index number. With the help of index number, we can measure that purchasing power of money, how it was in base year, how it is in current year. All those better study can become possible using index numbers, and also used for deflation. Deflation is nothing but with what rate the rate or the price or the significance of any concept or any particular day-to-day basis activities, price, quantity used or whatsoever, in what rate it has decreased. Deflation is nothing but it has undergone decrement. With what rate it has gone decrement whenever we are observing in any phenomenon, the index number will be of use very much. That's why you are writing, and it is used also for deflation. Index numbers measures the change in cost of living of different group of people. One more index number we will be coming across in our next video classes, which will be called as cost of living index number or consumer price index number, CPI. Consumer price index number we will come across. There we shall study this in detail. Let us just consider now index numbers measures change in cost of living of different groups of people. In detail later we shall study it. Index number simplifies the data, thus facilitates comparative study. Statistical tools and techniques are used for the same purpose. Any tool or a technique of statistics, it should simplify the data and it should facilitate us comparative study. Here index number also gives in the same way, huge data will be there, that in one index number you will be able to interpret it and whether it has got increased the index number in current year compared to base year, or whether it is decreased, or whether it is having the stagnancy in nature. All those can be studied comparatively. That's why we are writing it to be comparative study will become possible. Next, index numbers are used in studying trends and tendencies. Trends and tendencies nothing but ongoing trends and tendencies. That way we will be speaking most of the time. This is nowadays trend. That way we will speak. Nowadays trend is nothing but wearing mask, isn't it? Using sanitizer. That is in trend now. That way, index numbers are used in studying trends and tendencies. Trend and tendencies, how it has got differed by the passage of time in any respects or in any phenomenon, that how the trends and tendencies have got changed, that can be very well studied by using index numbers, just because index numbers believes in comparing the ongoing current year with the considered base year. That's why previously how it was, now it is like what is the nature of the phenomenon. All those can be very well studied using index numbers. That's why we are terming it to be, it helps in studying trends and tendencies. So once when uses are there, then there must be limitations too. So limitations of index numbers, let us consider. First one, many formulae are used in the construction of index numbers and different formulae give different answers. For example, Laspere, Pastches, Dorbish-Bowley's, Marshall-Edgeworth, Fishers, and then Kelly's, and many other formulas we have already come across based on index number. If we use different index numbers for the same data, certainly we will be getting different answers. Then we will be under the confusion which is the better one to be used. That answer, after few video classes, we shall come across after studying few more concepts. But that confusion leads limitation of index numbers. Since index numbers are based on the sample data, they are only approximate indicators. This we know already. What sample survey will give us the information, what census survey will give us the information. Since the index numbers are calculated based on some selected data from the population, they can be only approximate indicators. We cannot rely completely on this. Certainly, if it is calculated based on the population as a whole, we can certainly rely on index numbers also, but generally they are calculated using sample data. That's why this limitation has been given. So third one, as customs, traditions and habits of people vary from time to time, it is difficult to assign proper weights to the various items. So whenever we are calculating index numbers, sometimes we may assign like base year price. For example, if you are calculating last year's quantity index number, then base year price you will apply. Base year price, for example, base year if you take 2000, now the notebook may be costing 20 rupees, but earlier in 2000 it may be costing 10 rupees. Huge difference will be there. If you apply price of 2000 as the weight, it may bring its own level of changes in the calculation of index number. I have just taken a single example of notebook, but many more concepts we will be dealing further, wherein you will be under the confusion which weight has to be applied. And the previous one, you can concentrate on the first limitation which we have seen, Which formula to be used, we will be under confusion. We had said formulas are based on the weights consideration. So certainly we will be under confusion which weight to be applied. That's what I'm giving the little more explanation of this particular third point with the help of first point. Fine. Next limitation. While constructing index numbers, the quality of the product is not taken into consideration. For example, price index number or quantity index number, when you are calculating, we may consider the price of rice. For an example, if I take rice or wheat, price of that we may consider what the price was there earlier in base year and what is the price now in current year. And quantity also we may consider, like how much earlier it used to be, like brought for the usage, or how much it was consumed, and now in current year how much it is being consumed. All those we can study, but the quality of the product is not taken into consideration. In rice or in wheat, many more quality we will have. 40 rupees kg, 50 rupees kg, 60 rupees kg, 200 rupees kg, 250 rupees per kg, all those. Like, depending upon the superiority of a quality, the price will be increasing. So if you are considering price of the commodity, or the quantity, how much it was being used, irrespective of quality, it is not good one. It will be meaningless. So generally, if you consider any commodity without specifying quality, it will be meaningless. Usually in construction of index numbers, it will not be considered the quality of the product. That's why we are rating it to be a limitation. So one more limitation, like other statistical techniques, index numbers can also be misused to get desired conclusions. We know already, we have learnt in the first year PUC, first chapter itself, that statistics itself can be misused or misinterpreted. That's how it's being a part of statistics, the index number under consideration, that also can be misused as usual, how the whole statistics will be misused sometimes to get our own desired conclusions. So one more limitation or a demerit, it's given in this way, like other statistical techniques, index numbers can also be misused to get desired conclusions. So another demerit, there is plenty of scope for the bias in the construction of index numbers. By altering the price quotation or by improper selection of items or weights, index numbers can be manipulated. It's an extension of the previous point which we have considered as the demerit. It can be misused, we said. How it can be misused? Some of the examples have been given here. While constructing index number, there is plenty of scope for the bias in construction. It may be a personal bias of the statistician who is constructing the index number. Sometimes by altering the price quotation, however that he or she needs, if it is altered, or by improper selection of items or weights. As items, when you are selecting or when you are applying the weights, if it has gone improper, proper one is not considered, then also there is a possibility of getting wrong, interpretation, wrong answer or something of that kind. Or index numbers can be manipulated, it has been said. However, to get our desired results, it may be even manipulated, which is nothing but improper conclusions may become possible once when mishandling it happens while constructing index number. Not only for index number, for any task, if it is miscalculation, if it is misconception, if it is not properly being held or dealt with, anything may be becoming wrong conclusion. An index number calculation or construction is not an exception for that. It may be like, index numbers may be manipulated. That's why this demerit or a limitation we have considered in terms of index numbers limitations. So next, one more questions with the help of whatever we had studied so far, we may have to concentrate. Let us concentrate on these in the next class of ours. Thank you so much, students. Take care.